So I do have a question for you folks. How many people on this bus with this high-tech communication system we've got going on, how many people think that you're on an island right now? Let's hear a stomp from you. Oh, a few? A little rumble? How many people think that we are on the mainland right now? Let's hear a stomp from you folks. Oh, it's about the same. How many people couldn't care less? I think that might be the winner. Well, you are on an island right now.
I'm so brilliant.
And this island is the size of Taiwan. So we are a pretty big island. This is, we are 300 miles long and 60 miles wide at our widest point. We do not have the population of Taiwan, though, that's for sure. We have 870,000 people on this island. 570,000 of them live here in Victoria. This is the capital of our province. Now, this deep sea port that you're in tonight, this is actually a response to the Panama Canal opening up in 1914. They needed another deep sea port north of San Francisco, and we have a lot of connections to San Francisco. Back in the 1840s is when Victoria came about, and at that time, there were only two major organized cities on the west coast of North America. It was San Francisco and Victoria, so lots of connections together. Now, Victoria is actually the second, was originally a Hudson's Bay Company trading post here, but it replaced what became Vancouver, Washington with the signing off of the Oregon Treaty. When that treaty was signed, it was pretty obvious to the British that Fort Vancouver down there was not going to be in British territory anymore, so they sent Sir James Douglas up this way to look for a new Fort Vancouver. And he settled on this area. There's bathrooms in the museum. If you need to, there's a few places. I'll point those out before we actually stop. On the right-hand side, there's a brick building there. It says Old Spaghetti Factory. That was actually the very first indoor saltwater pool in the world. It was finished in 1924. It was actually part of the Empress Hotel, which is we're at the back of right now on the left-hand side, just across the street here. So shops stay open for you folks. I'm going to be parking on Government Street right in front of the Empress. You come back to the same spot to catch the bus going back. Buses are every 15 minutes till 11 o'clock. Bathrooms. So on the left, here's the museum. The entryway is just, they're renovating here, but you can get up there. And there are washrooms in there, so feel free to use them. There are also washrooms underneath the information center at the other side of the harbor. And if you just sneak into the side of the Empress Hotel, they have really nice washers. So, but you can walk through the Empress Hotel. They have a beautiful bar. It's called the Bengal Bar. But where I'm going to suggest you walk is right up in front of the bus, staying on Government Street. That's where you're going to hit all the souvenir shops. If you walk 8 blocks, you will get to Chinatown. It is the oldest Chinatown in Canada, but a significant one here. So, but I would suggest walking 8 blocks up to Chinatown, turn left, walk through the last 2 blocks of Chinatown, turn left again, and now you're following the waterfront all the way back to here. So that's kind of like a little loop trail. I do have some maps up at the front by the doorway. Feel free to grab one if you think you need it. But again, I'm suggesting you walk straight ahead up the street on Government Street if you want to do some shopping.
We're not gonna make this one.
Where's the thing?
Yeah, I think so. Look it just turned for them.
Wait, go to show the beaver tails. This one's a hazel amour.
China also allowed its citizens to leave China to come to Canada at the very same time. And they all came from the Guangdong province, and they came here to look for gold just like everybody else, but they also came here to help build the railway. And our Chinatown was very, very big at that time, about 12 square blocks long. And it was the biggest opium producer in North America for about 70 years. We had 13 opium factories in our Chinatown. And we produced about 90,000 pounds of opium every year at $50 a pound when it was legal. So I just picked you up in front of the Empress Hotel. Now the Empress Hotel is actually built on an old inlet. Where we are now was underwater. And at the end of this inlet, about 2 more blocks ahead of the bus right now, there was a soap factory at the end of the inlet. Back in the 1800s, they made soap out of animal fat, and they would throw all the bits and pieces into this inlet. Well, it didn't really wash out very well. It was very, very stinky down here. They ended up filling it after many years of soap production, and they built the Empress Hotel on top of it. It is sitting on 2,700 pylons. Those pylons are first growth Douglas fir trees, finished in 1904. On the left-hand side, this was the very first indoor saltwater pool in the world. It's called Crystal Gardens. And if anyone remembers who Johnny Weissmuller was, he was the very first Tarzan. But before he was Tarzan, he was an Olympic swimmer. He ended up coming here. They hired him for our opening night in 1924, and he ended up breaking 2 world records in our pool that night. On the left-hand side, we just passed our totem park called Thunderbird Park, and we are now passing the Provincial Museum. And this has been running since 1967 here. And on the left, we are passing a tower now. This tower was a gift from the Netherlands to the war vets of British Columbia. It was a thank you for our assistance during the Nazi occupation of the Netherlands in the Second World War. And on the left-hand side, this is our Parliament building, the legislature building where our provincial government meets. Now, this was finished in 1904, and it is still used today. It's a beautiful building on the inside. There are free tours that they offer to you in the daytime. And on the right-hand side, we're just passing the old steamship terminal. So if you're a wealthy person, you would get off your steamship right here, just cross the road and stay at the Empress. And we've got some very famous people hanging out here. Walt Disney, Bing Crosby, they used to hang out here a lot. They were both avid golfers. We have the oldest golf course in Canada here. But John Wayne also used to hang out here. He'd bring his yacht up and park it in the harbor. And he liked to drink at the Bengal Bar in the Empress, play golf, and he loves to fish. And we have quite a sports fishing industry here on the island. This is the largest island in the Pacific Ocean. We are the size of Taiwan, so 300 miles long, 60 miles wide. And we are the tourist destination of Canada, retirement destination of Canada, and the honeymoon destination of Canada. So lots of people come here, lots of visitors. On the left-hand side, this beautiful lit-up house, that's the Stinky Soap Factory people's house. The Pendray family. They had the first phone in town here. Actually, they had the first 2 phones in town because there's nobody else to call. And we shared a phone book with San Francisco until the early 1930s. We have many, many connections to San Francisco here. Back in the 1800s, there were only 2 organized cities on the whole west coast of North America. It was San Francisco and Victoria. So many connections through people and commercial enterprise as well. Another connection we have to San Francisco actually is we were building like crazy here. We actually had a gold rush here, and many, many people coming here in the 1850s. So it created quite a hub of activity building. So by the time the earthquake hit San Francisco, we had 11 different brickyards working, and 3 of them dedicated themselves 24/7 shipping all the bricks down to San Francisco. That went on for many, many years. I'm sure we weren't the only ones, but that was a pretty significant contribution to the rebuild of San Francisco. So we are the retirement capital. We are also considered the city of blooms. We do an annual flower count every year. This is also the honeymoon capital, and it is a foodie town. A foodie town like the whole island is actually. But we have a saying about Victoria. Goes like this. It's flower garden bed, newly wed, nearly dead and overfed. That's true. I'm here because my parents came here for their honeymoon. I just turned 60 a couple of months ago, so I've been here 50 years now. But yeah, it took them about 10 years to line their jobs up to move here. And yeah, I can definitely attest to that funny thing. It's so true. We're a little wilder on the west coast. We do have a couple of resort towns on the west coast. We've got tons of resort towns on the east coast, much more populated on the east coast. But we do have some wild animals on this island that if you're hiking and we do have world-class hiking here, but If you're camping or hiking on the West Coast, you do have to be a little bit more aware. We have the most cougars per capita of anywhere in North America, and I'm going to go a little limb on that one and say that's the four-legged and the two-legged kind. I've seen a few things in this town. It is the retirement capital. But we've also got gray wolf and black bear. We have our own little raccoon. It's a little smaller and browner than the other ones on the mainland. It is considered its own species. And lots of elk and deer. But what we don't have, we don't have any porcupines, skunk, badgers, moose. There's no moose on the island. And nothing poisonous, so no poisonous snakes or spiders, things like that. You're just a little bit more aware of the larger animals on the West Coast if you are camping in the forest, for sure. We're just passing our Coast Guard. Now in Canada, the Coast Guard is actually run by the federal government. It is not run by the military, and they do not carry guns.